Raw Focus has been a very fun podcast to do. And I love it now that I'm only doing it once a week, once every 2 weeks, because I did such a backlog during COVID. And it's actually nice. So, I mean, I've been spending my time trying to figure out who I wanted to talk to, who I wanted to interview. And even though I've been trying to interview people that are close to me now, I haven't really been focusing on people that are close to me in the past. I'm born and raised in Sparks, Nevada. I went to Reed, I went to Mendive, and I still live pretty close to everywhere that I went to school. And what happens is, yeah, you know a lot of people in your area, but you also forget that these people are actually growing up in the area as well. So I'm super excited. I was talking to Brandon Godosi today. We went to Mendive. So we went basically 6 years to school together. We went through middle school and high school together. And then, whatever happens at the end, we just kind of Facebook buddies, kind of chatting every once in a while. And I haven't really caught up with him. So when I put this out that said, hey, I'm looking for people to jump on the podcast with me, he wrote to me and said, hey, I have this company, the CBD company, and I'd like to talk about it. I went into this interview and podcast kind of about, just a general, like, hey, what do you sell? Why do you sell it? What's it good for? Who's going to buy it? Blah, blah, blah. And not realizing that this kid knows everything there is to know about the CBD world, like CBD, THC, cannabis world, from personal use, from researching, he has a company for it. So he has to know this stuff. And so I learned a ton on this podcast, and I hope you guys do as well. I'll link all this stuff that you can find it, but basically know that his company, if you guys do take CBD, want to take CBD, his company is the company that you guys should be taking it from because of the knowledge base that they have. I don't get sponsors on this channel or this podcast. I don't get sponsors. I'm not big in that podcast world, but that way I can tell you guys why I think he's amazing without you guys having to worry about if I'm selling you or not. But a little update on me, guys. So my name's Jeremy. I'm a photographer. I'm also the host of Raw Focus. I've been doing this for a few months now, and I'm very, very excited to have this going. It's June 13th or so. Anniversary was last week. And nothing's really kind of changing. We're still in phase 2 here in Nevada from the whole COVID Corona thing. And, protests happened, BLM happened, and our governor decided that he just wants to keep us going. And at this point, everybody's frustrated, don't understand. I mean, I can go to Safeway, Walmart. I mean, I went to the gym this morning. I went to get bagels this morning, and nobody's wearing a mask. Nobody cares. People are eating at restaurants, sitting at restaurants, but for some reason, he wants to keep us in a certain phase when I feel like everybody just kind of forgot about those phases, right? There's lines to go to the mall. There's stuff opening, and it's like he's trying to bring it back, and it's weird. So this conversation's amazing and fun. It is a little long, so I apologize for this, guys. And there is some personal stuff that I'm gonna leave in here as well, especially proposal talk and all that fun stuff and pricing on me. I was gonna take it out, but I kind of like it's a raw focus, and this is conversations that I really have. So if you're a photographer, this is how I kind of book people as well. So you'll get a little more information out of that. So guys, thank you so much. Without further ado, here is Brandon Godosi.
Perfect. Okay, I just had to phone in. Yeah, I can hear you now, brother. I had to phone in.
Sweet.
For some reason.
Cool.
Yeah, I had everything selected, and it's just for some reason not working. But how you doing, dude?
It happens every once in a while. Good, man. Just running life, dude. Getting back to work, doing all the stuff.
Yeah, how's your photography gig going?
It's good. It's probably the busiest thing I've done in the last 10 years of my life. So just kind of nonstop, man.
That's awesome, bro.
Yeah.
That's
When did I see you last?
You.
How long has it been since it has been in high school?
Man, it's been a long time. I mean, I don't know. I never went to any of those high school reunions or anything like that. So
I didn't. I only think we did. I think we just did that 10-year, and then I haven't heard anything from it since. So gotcha. I mean, I have no idea. But yeah, I don't know. Are you still in Reno?
Yeah, I'm out here in Sparks in Wingfield, just basically, just kind of out off of Vista.
Yeah, so I'm by the hospital by Northern Nevada Medical Center.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I'm just down the street, man.
That's awesome. That's
All
cool,
right, let me
brother.
get this set up here. Y'all good?
Yeah.
All
Yep.
right.
Everything's good to go.
At Harmonious CBD. There it is. 1,100 likes. Nice.
Yeah, I was going to talk with you too. We're not on air right now, are we? Or live or whatever.
No, no, yeah. I'll let you know.
Okay, cool. So, because I'm going to ask my girlfriend to marry me at the end of this month, and
Oh,
so
nice.
I'm really excited. Yeah, it's been like five. We've been in a relationship 5 years, so she wants to have it. She wants a photographer there,
Yeah.
obviously, so she can have pictures of it and stuff. So I'll just talk with you about your prices and stuff like that on that. It's gonna
She
be
wants
something just real
pictures of
simple.
the proposal or of like,
Yeah, yeah.
ooh, nice. Does she know you're proposing?
Basically, like, no,
Okay.
she doesn't. Yeah, it's a surprise. Yeah, so her
Yeah.
mom and dad will be there, and we're gonna have some dinner. Essentially, it's on the 29th. We're gonna have some dinner, and then right after that, we want to go to like just kind of like a beautiful, chill nature spot, which I know there's a lot around Reno. We're gonna
Right.
be having dinner downtown, like Midtown area. So
Okay.
after that, I could just drive and meet anywhere. Her parents will meet there. She just, wants to make sure she has pictures of, proposal, and then everything after that. So it's not going to be
Yeah.
like a long photo shoot, but if
No,
you're
that's
available, if
cute.
you're not
Yeah, I mean, I
busy.
do that quite a bit. We do that. We call them surprise proposals. Obviously surprise on our end. Does she know who I am by chance?
No.
Okay, so that makes it easier because then, like, I can be hiding like with a camera or somewhere, and then she won't
Right.
suspect it. Sometimes people know who I am, and all of a sudden they're like, "Why is Jeremy here?" And then it kind of gives it away. So I always feel bad. So I always have to hide behind bushes and stuff and make it
Yeah.
happen.
For those ones, you got to wear army camo with a bunch of like brush and
Dude,
shit, and you're
yeah,
heading
it's
off in the
always
distance.
weird. Like, I think I did one where I brought like my kids and I pretended to be shooting them. And then
Oh,
because
okay.
the couple knew me, she knew me, he didn't. And then, but he's like, yeah, she knows she loves your work, man. You're gonna end up shooting our wedding, so let's get this set up. And that's kind of what happened. So awesome. All right, stop talking
Gotcha.
about it. Hold
Cool.
on one sec.
Yeah. So we'll get that. We'll get that. We'll talk about that afterwards, brother, for
Yeah,
sure.
man,
'Cause
that's
that'd be
cool.
dope.
Anytime. All right,
Yeah.
let me go live here, and then don't worry about the live part. It's just us talking, and when I edit the podcast together, it'll kind of push up. So your podcast will come out sometime in the next few weeks, maybe after
Nice.
what we just talked about, so that nothing really happens.
Yeah.
All right, but we are live now. So guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Welcome back to Raw Focus. I have a good longtime buddy of mine, Brandon, who owns Harmonious CBD. And when I put this out, I wanted to do some business focuses with businesses. And Brandon was one of the first people to kind of march out, and took us a little bit of time, but we finally made it happen, rescheduling on both ends. And that's just life, and, weirdly we live like 5 miles apart from each other. But dude, thank you so much. How is your day, dude? What's going on?
Oh, it's going good, bro. Thanks for having me, man. I love checking out your podcast. I like the setup. I think it's really dope. I have a lot of friends that have their own kind of podcast things going on. Some guys down in Vegas, they have one called Culture and Cannabis. I've got these
Right.
other guys called Duck and Lit. Ash Shobi has his. But it's really cool. I like yours. I like your backdrop. It's really unique. And yeah, obviously we've known each other for a long time. I think actually we went to the same middle school together, wasn't it?
I think, yeah, it
Mendive, and
was,
then
I can't remember. Yeah. I never remember if it's middle school but yeah, I moved to this area when I went to Dietrichson in 5th grade. So I went to Dietrichson, then I went to Mendive, and then Reed. So did you go all the
nice,
same?
yeah. No, it was Jerry Whitehead and then Mendive and Reed. So it must have been Mendive and Reed. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I still live like right across, but we're 36 now. And holy crap. Yeah. That's like, that's half of our life ago is when we graduated high school.
Yeah.
Which is insane to think about. My kids are going through the whole process now. And do you have kids?
No, just two cats. Yeah. Yeah. No kids. No kids yet.
Like,
I'm gonna
you
be
have
one of
kids
those
and you
old
got
ass.
cats.
I'm gonna be one of those old dudes where they're like, "Is that your grandpa or your dad?" And I'm gonna be like, "Oh, it's my dad." If I ever have kids.
Right. Well, that's the trend now. At least guys can have them later in life, and it's still cool, But I mean, you still look like
Yeah.
a fit looking. I mean, I was looking through your page, and I linked your page onto here. But I was looking at your videos because you've been posting videos for your business, and yeah, I mean, presence is good. You look healthy. How did you get into this CBD cannabis world?
Yeah, man, it's been a long time since you and I actually have kind of talked. It's been a minute. We've just been doing our own thing, just like
Right.
everyone in life. Yeah, it's been about 3.5 years since I jumped into the cannabis industry. And basically, I was a personal trainer years ago, and so and also a martial arts instructor, and I did a lot of instructing and things of that nature. And
Okay.
so one of my buddies came up to me with some CBD oil, and he's another personal trainer friend of mine, and he was like, you got to try this stuff out. It's incredible. And, long story short, I bought a couple of bottles. It was very expensive at the time. It was a different brand, a different kind of local brand. And it worked really, really good on an individual that has type 2 diabetes. Well, he's pre-diabetic essentially, but
Oh wow.
or he might be full blown diabetic, but he just refuses to use insulin. So anyway, went and had some blood work on him. Yeah, he's an older guy. He's an older retired vet, so he
Uh,
just doesn't want it. But his A1C
right.
levels were really overinflated, and then I took him to get his blood work done, and his A1C levels dropped tremendously. He was able to get off his medication. So he was taking two for pain, and I tried it on myself. And obviously, I played soccer my whole life, and I still do today. So I've had some old kind of lingering things like in one of
Right.
my knees particularly, and it went away in about fully in about 6 months, noticeably or drastically noticeably in about two. And then just using the product myself, and I work out usually 5 times a week, 5 days a week, and then I'm active beyond that. It just the muscle recovery process was insane. So obviously I looked into the science of it, and then I started teaching seminars on the endocannabinoid system and essentially how this all works within the body. It's not magic, it's normal.
Right.
And then I've just been going from there really. I mean, I just love helping people heal, and this stuff has been profound. But there's a lot of shit out there in the
Yeah.
cannabis industry,
Well, I mean,
so.
that's kind of my leading question into this. But before we do that, before you got into this, I mean, did you use CBD? Did you use weed? Did you use marijuana? Was that your world before, or was this something brand new to you?
Yeah, no, basically through high school, when I was actually probably about 15 is when I started smoking cannabis. And then it was mostly for recreational fun with friends and stuff
Right.
like that. Well, I wasn't even focused on the medicinal benefits at all back then. None of us were, anyone that
No.
was
Yeah.
smoking cannabis. But but I took a break between my 20s, probably between probably like 25, 26, something like that, all the way up until early 30s. I didn't smoke any cannabis. And there was a big period in there. So I'm not, cannabis isn't something new to me, but the medicinal benefits of cannabis was something definitely brand new to me at that point.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think the whole reason for legalization right now for everything happening. So I shoot for some cannabis companies. I shoot for Mint and Kind. I'm on retainer with them. So
Mhm.
all their products, I'm in the warehouse. I smell like weed all the time going in and out with all my gear, just all the things that they grow, and something I have to kind of get over. At least hide my stuff in here so I walk in, the kids aren't, thinking I'm just a crazy pothead.
Yeah.
But before that, in high school and everything, I didn't do any of it. There was no access for me. I
Mhm.
was anti. It was just like there was no friends of mine that did it, so there was no reason for me to do
Mhm.
it. And I had to train myself and learn everything that I was shooting. And I know that the biggest reason that it was legalized, for us and for everybody, is because of that, because of the medicinal purposes of everything. That was their big push. It wasn't
Yeah.
because, yeah, it's recreational, or it's less healthy, or it's more healthy than smoking or whatever. Nobody cares about that, especially the government.
Mhm.
But if we can bring the medicine inside, I think that's huge. And that's where your focus is on the last like 3.5 years, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, our product is purely medicinal. I mean, there's one could argue that cannabis in general is purely medicinal, because even
Right.
if you're smoking it, it has a psychological calming effect. So it's kind of like someone drinking alcohol. I mean, you could argue that, yeah, it's not that good for the body, but at the same time it helps them de-stress, which is
De-stress.
good for
Yeah.
the body. Yeah, cannabis can have its effect on the lungs, but it just depends on how you're using it. And there's, as shooting for Mint and Kind, we had our product in there at one point in time, until they kind of switched up their buyer. But either way,
Right.
it's, you know, there's so many different derivatives of cannabis. There's a ton. And if you look at it from a medicinal standpoint, that's the best way to approach cannabis, because it truly is absolutely incredible. I mean, the results that I've seen on this stuff, now ours is the highest quality oil I can find. I speak at big seminars down in Vegas, in Reno, and Salt Lake, and I'm a keynote there, and I basically talk about the science of how this works, and also, you know, disclose some truths about what's going on in the industry, because this is a completely non-regulated industry, talking about the CBD side of things. So there are no
Right.
federal regulations. There are very loose
Oh,
state regulations. But if you're
yeah.
selling on e-commerce, you could be selling someone a bottle of just oil with nothing in it and get
Well,
away with it, and there's
is that
nobody to
why
tell you
like
otherwise.
is that why I go to like a little Indian gas station and then they have like a little thing of CBD oil that I can just pick up for like $2.99?
Yeah, you know, you know, it boils down to lab testing and transparency of the particular company that's making and selling the product. And as we know, there's a bunch of companies out there across all industries that are looking to just rip people off and give them,
Right.
you know, really crappy quality, whatever they're selling, or just, you know, essentially just dupe people into believing they're buying something that they're not actually getting. So that happens in the CBD industry a lot. I've caught companies, you know, just blatantly doing that tons of times. It's mostly e-commerce, but there's also a huge difference in quality. Most people look at CBD products and they go, oh, it's a CBD product. There's a CBD product. I'm going to try this one. What's the difference? They don't know the difference. There's
Nobody.
a
Yeah.
huge difference, bro. Like, not even, you can't compare two CBD oils together, because they're unless they're bought from the identical manufacturer, the identical milligrams, the identical carrier oil. It's yeah,
So
it
how
gets
do I
pretty complicated.
know? So let's pretend that I have never used CBD, THC, cannabis, or anything. CBD is obviously for who's your target? Who's a person that wants to use CBD oil on, like, let's say, a daily basis?
You know, to be honest with you, and I'm not saying this from a sales standpoint because it's our company, I think that CBD should be a daily supplemental regimen for every single human being. I don't care how old you are, it doesn't matter. In mother's
Okay.
breast milk, their body makes the same or similar molecular particulates, if you will, that are found in CBD oil.
Oh
So
wow.
as they're breastfeeding their children are receiving that nutrients for specific reasons, because all mammals' bodies have what's called an ECS. So it's an endocannabinoid system. What it is on a cellular level, you have receptor sites. Think of it like octopus tentacles that are in
Hmm.
your bloodstream that reach out and pick up nutrients for the cell to absorb, then to follow up with a response within the cell for the cell to go and take care of an imbalance in the body, which largely stems or is directly related with inflammation. So everyone experiences inflammation. Our body produces their own cannabinoids. They're called endogenous cannabinoids.
Wow.
Naturally, always has, to help our body counteract its own inflammation. So without that, the body would seize up and we would all die. So this is just basically, you know, taken from the flower of the plant. Think of it as like a steroided version of those same cannabinoids that our body makes and that are in other plant sources, generally mainly phytonutrients. It's
Hmm.
a steroided version of that. So you put it in your body and it has a profound effect, having a multitude of molecules. But the differences between CBD products is when people say CBD, that's kind of a coined term, and it stands for cannabidiol, which is just
Right.
that one particular molecule. And so most people's products are just that one molecule isolated. So they're only getting one molecule. That one doesn't have THC, it doesn't have any other cannabinoids in it. And that is not as effective as taking the entirety of the flower of the plant, which has over 100 known cannabinoids and terpenes and everything. So that one has a synergistic effect with, there could be thousands or tens of thousands of cannabinoids that we don't even know of that exist, because we've only
Holy
discovered,
crap.
you know, yeah, roughly over 100. So, and that's been since the 60s in Israel specifically, and a few other countries that have been kind of spearheading this cannabinoid research and study. So,
So they're
so
still they're
yeah,
still learning and pulling all that information.
yeah, yeah. This is relatively new, you know, and I mean, in our country, obviously, we have biasms because we have the pharmaceutical industry, and we have, you know, a bunch of chemicals and crap in our food and in our water and everything in the air we breathe and in the cosmetic products that we use. So that is basically breaking down the body's immune system and causing more inflammation and more
Right.
imbalances. So this kind of breaks into that market and that industry, and there's some resistance there. But there's also not enough studies. There's not enough, care for use of high quality within a medical setting. People are just trying to make a ton of money. I mean, if you hear someone open up a CBD company, it's like, oh yeah, I'm trying to jump on this CBD fad, make as much money. That's not at all what it's about. And their
Oh, and
products
that's what
reflect
I
that,
hear a ton of. I
unfortunately.
mean, I literally hear, and just being, within this industry and ear in this industry, I hear that all the time. Like, yeah, we're opening a line. We're doing a line of this. We have a CBD company. We're having CBD oils here. And, try this. And people have samples of everything. And I'm sitting there like, in my mind, I don't know enough about it on even how it's created or what the difference is or what I should be feeling. And, I try to take, I have CBD, like a tincture oil that I take at night. And after a while,
Mhm.
I'm like, I'm just taking it to take it, but I don't know if I should be feeling what I'm feeling. I don't know if I should be taking it after I work out, how my body's supposed to be. So I don't have that gauge. Um, it's tough because there is a lot out there.
Yeah, I would say, first off, you have to verify your products. That's step number one. If you verify your product and the efficacy and quality of that product, then you can know that taking it from there on out will 100% work in your body, whether you're noticing like drastic effects or not. That's
Okay.
the number one thing. And the way to do that is you have to verify the COAs or the lab test results. And those can be forged, and a lot of times those aren't third party. It's kind of a biased lab test result. So that's where it's a little bit difficult. On our website, I have a blog section that basically explains to people how to read lab test results, and what to look for, as
Oh,
far as, transparency of those, and make sure those aren't, slightly, doctored or forged, aspects of that lab test result, because that happens all the time too. So once you verify that, and then you know what you're looking for, if you're looking for a CBD isolate or a CBD full spectrum, the CBD isolate is less effective. It's just CBD, one molecule. The CBD full spectrum is, just how it sounds. It's the full spectrum of cannabinoids from the flower of the plant specifically. So you're targeting more receptor sites. So that oil is far more effective in direct comparison studies. And it's pretty much irrefutable at this point in time, just with people's results and the science and the medical studies combined. So once you establish that, because it's hard to find good quality CBD products. I've been looking for 3.5 years for an oil better than cannabis. I've sampled personally over 100 products of
holy
other
shit.
CBD companies, and
Right.
I've verified and screened, transparency and efficacy and lab documentation of probably over, 150 or 200 other companies online and in person, and have yet to find an oil that's up to the standards of our quality. And that just comes down to manufacturing and cost. And most people aren't looking for that. They're just looking for CBD. They don't
Right.
understand that there are huge variations in CBD products and oils, and those variations are detrimental to the results that someone would be experiencing.
So when you're trying these, like when you have the personal taste test, if you will, what are you looking for? What is your hopes with trying this? I mean, are you looking for something like an effect in your body? Is it the taste? Is it a mindset? What is it that you need that you can't find when you were trying these out?
Yeah, that's a great question. As far as immediate results as one could feel, that's not how this stuff works. I mean,
Right.
it can in a topical application, it can in certain circumstances taken at certain milligrams in a one dose thing. Let's say you have a bad migraine, you take a fairly decent dose, like 20 to 35 milligrams of a full spectrum oil, or 50 to 60, 45 to 60 of an isolate. You could feel an immediate result because that does go into your bloodstream and your body does use it. But when I'm looking at oil, what I'm looking for, number one, obviously the lab test results are something, but those can be fudged. So, what I'm
Right.
looking for in the oil is I'm looking for a particular, taste, the clarity of it, the scent
Okay.
of the terpenes. You always know if you can smell a good terpenous cannabis oil that it was done properly, because the terpenes are generally what gets left out, because those are the most volatile component, that breaks down or separates during the extraction process. And you can taste a bad extraction process because you can taste residual solvents, you can taste residual plant matter if it wasn't extracted properly. So there's a slew of things that you can that you can notice, but you obviously have to know what you're looking for. And this is such a new industry that most people have no idea. They just go for fancy marketing or what the salesperson told them. But
Exactly, right? Yeah,
more often
that's
than
where we're
not,
all at right now.
yeah. So I always tell people they can call me. I'm very unbiased. I'm not going to try and switch them onto our oil. I just try and give people the truth so that they can pass that on to others and educate others. And that essentially is what's going to clean up our industry and make it easier for consumers to find high quality oil versus that being a needle in a haystack, because everyone largely is in this industry for money. So they don't even care about quality. They don't. That's not
a lot of it is,
question
yeah,
they have
probably
when they.
some big wigs, a CEO of a company who are just looking at numbers and probably don't even take the product.
Yeah.
All right, but this is a spotlight on your business. So I want to get into what you guys do specifically. So tell me a little bit about Harmonia CBD. I mean, is it something that was already developed? You guys kind of put a sticker on it. How does this work where you get into this company, and why are you in this company? So kind of guide me through that process.
Yeah. So to start, I got into it because of the results that I saw that one particular gentleman get and myself. I said, you know what? This is amazing. This could, drastically change people's lives. It could save people's lives, which it has in a lot of circumstances. I mean, we would have to do an 8 to 9 hour podcast for me to tell you all the results people have gotten from this, and it would blow your mind. I mean, your jaw would drop.
We could, we could totally do a follow up, man. I'm into stuff like this. I'm all about health and freaking, being Asian. It's, we're more about the Eastern medicine, if you will, rather than the Tylenol.
Yeah,
like my wife is Advil, Tylenol, migraine, PM, all that junk. She's literally popping it in, and every time I feel like, oh, babe, I have a headache, take some Advil. She take this, and I'm like, we just didn't grow up that way. It was green oil, Tiger Balm. Yeah. If CBD was readily available then, I'm sure my dad would have just thrown it in my mouth. But anything all natural, I love that. Right, go ahead, keep going.
Nice. Oh no, yeah, that's great, bro. That's awesome. I mean, I did a lot of studies on Ayurvedic medicine. I'm Reiki level 2 certified. Mm-hmm. A lot of herbalistic medicines. I did a lot, because you're right. That's the way to go. It's absolutely the way to go. And that is more of like an Asian culture, or even in the Hispanic culture too. It's more prevalent in the Indian culture, not Native American, but also Eastern Indian culture as well. And that's the way to go, man. Honestly, that is the way to go. When I studied personal training and nutrition and all that stuff, I mean, we just don't understand it because we have Western medicine, and it's so heavily flooded and marketed here that it's like every time you have an issue, you're told go to your doctor. You remember when we were growing up when that shit started coming out on the TV, and it was like they had all these pharmaceutical drugs. If you experience stress,
and then it's
pain, hard time
worse than what it is. The side effects were like, it's death. You have a headache, take this migraine medicine. Side effect is death, and you're like, it's weird. Yeah, I mean, and how people are doing it now, especially we're thinking of food and diets. We're thinking the word organic now, and Pinterest and everything's out there on how you can clean or fix or whatever. How they show a can of soda can take off the steel or copper off of metal or something. So I think a lot of people are opening their minds and understanding that the stuff that's here for us, that was kind of grown with us, is super beneficial and has its reasons. We just have to figure out what it is, and not necessarily something that's made chemically is going to do anything. And that's not to say people that aren't taking medications not saving their lives, but there's other alternatives as well. And us being 36, young, fairly good shape, good health, it's not our time to start popping pills for anything that happens. The stuff will naturally go into your body, naturally come out. And that's kind of what I like. If it doesn't work, it's not negative to your body. It's just going to take time to get out. And that's what I like. So
absolutely.
With your guys' company, I mean, how are you guys selling things? Is it one kind of generic bottle, or is it specific bottles targeted towards specific needs? How would I go and order things from you guys?
Yeah, so when we first started, I basically found a website that had logos, and I purchased the logo outright, and then we made some tweaks to it, and then and started the name Harmonia CBD. And basically, I searched for about 4 months to find a manufacturer, and it took me that long because I didn't know everything when we first started. So I was doing research simultaneously, and had people that were a part of the company that were helping out with a lot of things. I mean, it's been a team effort, but finally found a manufacturer that could do things the way that we wanted it done. And I just happened I asked the universe, I said, please put a particular manufacturer in front of me that's the highest quality, the best, And that's what I got. And since then, I haven't been able to find any better. So that's kind of where it started. And then what we did is we had to decide, first of all, what does the manufacturer make at their extraction facility normally, and what do we want? Because ours is not kind of a standard. There's a lot of CBD manufacturers out there that have a catalog, and they'll white label everything for you.
Right.
So you just say, I want this, this, this. You pick out of their catalog, and they slap your labels on there. They can do your label design and everything. Ours is not one of those. Ours is like a custom formulation. So I called the manufacturer and said, here's what I want in milligrams. They have particular flavorants, which are all natural. Everything in our products are all natural. Nothing artificial. There's no chemicals used in any process from the seed to the bottle. So we are that kind of company. Think of us as like the Whole Foods, if you will, or like a natural grocer or something.
Yeah, you guys have a full stake in everything that's in there, so you guys know what's in there. I mean, it's not. I mean, you want to make money, but it's not about the money aspect. About pushing out, a generic product. And I'm assuming those white label products, are cheaper to make in general, anyways. So this one might have cost you guys a little bit more to make a quality product. How many different products 100%. Are within what you guys sell?
Yeah, so it's interesting because, in the CBD industry, there's CBD hair growth, there's CBD
sleeping,
pillows that are being sold
like
at Brookstone, beds, like workout clothes, deodorants and stuff. Let me just tell people something about CBD. Scientifically, there's a lot of stuff that has not been proven, and a lot of this is fad. These are fad products, okay? I know what works specifically medically and is the most effective and efficient, and that's what we focus on. We don't focus on any of the BS products. You're not going to see a CBD deodorant from us or a CBD bath bomb or something. These products are not effective. There may be a placebo psychotropic effect of some sort, but there's no actual physical effect from your bath bomb.
So if I put deodorant
in a huge bathtub.
Yeah, I'm not going to get like loss of headache if I'm like rubbing CBD deodorant on my armpits.
Yeah. The problem is that, the amount of milligrams that you need for this stuff to be effective applied at the topical or ingested is not even close to enough in those products that are being sold. And they can't be, because if they were, the price would go up astronomically, because the most expensive ingredient in any of these things is the cannabis oil or those isolated molecules. Everything else is inexpensive. This stuff is very expensive. So for our products, we basically have an isolate version with no THC for people that have drug testing issues. So we have that for them. And then our other products have THC in them. They have below the federal legal limit, which has been established at 0.3, which is just some stupid arbitrary number that they didn't know what the hell to make up. So they just made up that number. Because it's a lot higher naturally occurring even in what we call high CBD cannabis flower, which most people know as hemp, but it's not industrial hemp. There's industrial hemp, which is used for fibrous materials. It's not like, has a ton of stems and flower coming off of it. They're using it for fibrous material. They're using it for hemp seed oil, etc. And then you have, and potentially for CBD isolate. And then you have the full spectrum oil, which gets extracted from the flower of high CBD cannabis strains that are grown, that are like medicinal strains. They're grown more traditionally like a marijuana strain. So those are the ones that we extract from. And so we make sure that, it's the highest quality oil there and the most effective, because it has every bit of nutrients that you can possibly get in it. So that's our main product that we sell. And we have different milligrams. We have a 500 milligram, they're all in a 1 ounce bottle. We have a 750 and a 1500. And then we have a topical, a couple of topicals. We have multiple different flavors. So we have mint chocolate and mango and unflavored. There's only 2 or 3 ingredients in our ingestible tinctures. Organic coconut oil, which is an MCT form, and then the high CBD cannabis oil, which is organically grown. So that's 2 minimum. And then the third one is just the flavorant, which is an all natural oil extracted, not alcohol extracted flavorant, the mint chocolate and the mango. Those come directly from those sources. So that's it. That's all you need. So
that sounds delicious. Yeah, so let me ask you then. So a lot of people that are going to listen to this podcast, watching the Facebook Live right now, I guarantee are still researching, are still learning about this, and they're only hearing what their friends are telling them. Why would somebody go the route or start looking at taking a CBD oil or going to your website or getting something topical? Like, train me as if I'm like a 3-year-old. Why am I going to be using this product, or what symptoms should I have or look for that I'm like, oh, this will actually help me?
Yeah, it's funny. There's kind of a joke in the cannabis industry where they're like, oh, you got a problem? Just put some CBD oil on it. It'll fix it. Oh, the
Old Windex,
doors,
right? Yeah.
yeah, whatever it is, bro, whatever. And it's actually kind of true, but it just depends on the quality. The higher the quality, the better results. But for example, if someone has sleep issues, stress, anxiety, those are fairly common. Obviously, all of us have minor and major inflammation in our bodies, depending upon,
Yeah.
different health things that we have going on
Would
around
would a
our
topical be
nutrition,
better for the
exercise.
inflammation? Like, so I used to do massage therapy. I did massage therapy for like 6 years.
Mhm.
And I have a ton of wrist issues because of it. And so I have a
Mhm.
topical balm that I use, that I rub on there, and it's like a 5-minute rub that I do. And I feel like I can't really tell if it's the balm that's doing it or if it's my 5 minutes of isolated rubbing, bringing the blood to the surface kind of
Yeah.
thing. So what if somebody did have aches or pains or working out? I mean, is a topical better, or should they still stick to like the CBD oil in the ingestibles?
Yeah, I would say they could use them in conjunction. It just depends on the particular ailments that they have going on and the severity of those ailments. So a topical, and again, it's kind of hard to generalize. It's a really good question, a very valid question. It's hard to generalize it because every single product is slightly different. So some of them have menthol in it. You put that on, and they have D. So the effectiveness essentially is from the other added ingredients. More so than the CBD. Ours in particular has 500 milligrams in a 1 ounce little jar. It's
Right.
very highly concentrated, has a ton of essential oils and nothing, artificial or chemical. So the effectiveness of it is actually coming from the CBD oil. And then second to that, as more of like a support ingredient, those essential oils are being used instead of it being flip-flop. But if you, let's say you work out at the gym and you have, soreness or aches and pains, whatever it is, a topical is good, but that's more of a Band-Aid, although, and it
Right.
can only get so deep, but you want to ingest the oil if you really want the full benefits. But we've had people that have only used the topical and couldn't work because they had a back injury that literally they were bedridden and they used
Right.
only the topical. Some people that are, fairly overweight too, and it was down in, it was more of like, in the subsection of their spine, inflammation in those areas. And they used it just as a topical, and it actually got them out of bed, out of pain. They could bend down, touch their toes, go back to work just as a topical. So
That's
it's
awesome.
hard to say. Yeah, it's hard to say that one is more effective than the other. But I would have to go with the ingestible tincture being the most effective option.
Right.
But if you can use both simultaneously, it's only going to benefit you more.
So, I mean, yeah, really, like, I mean, the ingestibles, I mean, are people taking them in the morning, night, throughout the day? And then is this, I guess everybody can kind of take it, like you were saying, kind of almost like a daily supplement, getting away from those like pills that everybody kind of takes every day, and kind of go to this supplement, and it's a cure-all kind of all, just kind of focuses on everything that your body needs.
Yeah.
What do you think
Feed your
about that?
body
I mean,
the nutrients. Yeah, we recommend to take it. Well, I recommend to take it specifically, in the morning and at night, because in the morning, your body is craving nutrients. That's a really good window of efficacy. And if you take it on an empty stomach and you put it under your tongue and you hold it for a minute to, 3 minutes. And
that's so hard to
what
do.
I tell people to do, yeah, it's tough to do. Well, the goal and the goal is to try and get it into your sublingual saliva glands. And the easiest way to do that is to take your tip of your tongue and roll it into the back of your mouth and hold it there. And that will open up your sublingual saliva glands. But sometimes those are excreting saliva, so it will block the natural entry of the oil. So then therefore you swallow it. The goal is to try and get maximum absorption through mucous membranes throughout the entirety of the process of putting it in your mouth, swallowing it. And then it gets into your bloodstream. And scientifically, you want a lipid as the carrier for this particular cannabinoids, which is a fat of some sort. So yeah, and people take it in the morning and at night, right before they go to bed. It's a great time. Your metabolism shuts down. Your body focuses on healing. But we have a ton of kids with autism using it, and they may have. Yeah, we have kids all the way down 2 years old, all the way up to very old elderly people using it for mainly arthritic issues, obviously, and pain and inflammation. But the little kids, with autism have literally, that some of them that have not been able to speak a single word clearly, within a week of taking the oil, were able to repeat, a few select words absolutely clearly that their parents or their guardians had
So
never heard them
there's,
say
yeah,
before.
there's change just from
Yeah,
taking this. Um,
yeah.
I mean, yeah, I always like hearing that. I'm always, a little worried telling people that because, then they try it and they expect like this huge change. But
Hmm.
I mean, yeah, I'm sure those parents are ecstatic because doing everything they can, there was no real adjustment, and all of a sudden trying something like this, they notice some change, and some change for those parents are probably amazing.
Yeah, yeah, life changing, life changing. And we've actually, this one lady cured her dog of cancer using our 750 milligram unflavored. She wasn't even giving it to her dog for that. Her dog had cancer. Went to the vet that said, look, this is pretty bad. Your dog probably has 2 to 3 months to live. So they gave the dog. They didn't want to put it through chemo, so they gave the dog a particular type of pain medication to help it through the process in
Hmm.
passing. And one of her friends said, well, hey, try this CBD oil. It works really great for my pain and inflammation, and it'll help your dog. So she gave him a bottle of the 750 milligram unflavored version, gave it to the dog. The lady took her dog in probably like 3 weeks later to get another blood work done to see how far along it was, and the lab work came back with zero cancer in the dog's system, zero in the bloodstream, like
Holy
measured as
crap!
zero.
How was she giving
Yeah,
it to the dog? Was it just like a drop in the
I
mouth or in the food?
yeah, no, I don't know if she was, administering. This was like a year and a half ago. There's
Right,
been so many different stories since then, but she was giving it to the dog. And I don't know if she was putting it on the food or putting it directly in the mouth, but
right.
the veterinarian office actually did not believe the lab results. So
Oh,
they ordered a second
their own.
set to be
Yeah.
done, and the second set came back with the same exact results. They thought that the lab had made a mistake or something. So,
Right.
but keep in mind, the Veterinarian Association board for the state of Nevada does not accept CBD as
Right.
a usable, and neither does the Chiropractic Board Association either. So
I mean, it's
they're,
funny you say that
you
because
know,
we were at a local veterinarian here that we take our dog to, who's the same street as Reed, same name as well, and we were there, and our dog has we have a Bernese Mountain Dog, and she has hip dysplasia, and he's like, you can walk her, you can do whatever, but she limps every once in a while, and he was like, I'm not recommending CBD oil because I'm not allowed to, but if you guys have access to that,
yeah,
try it. And shooting for Mittenkind, yeah, I know they make dog treats, they make all that stuff. That's why I was asking how was it
mhm.
administered. So I'm gonna end up buying some stuff from your guys' site. But like, yeah, if I can start giving her, because we were looking for something. I'm like, I just want something pet friendly. I don't know if it's humans or pets can have the same product, but if they can, then I'll just buy extra and then just kind of throw it into her food or do whatever, and see if that
Yeah,
changes
no,
anything. But
oh, bro, it's night and day, especially because we give the animals the full spectrum of THC. A lot of people have this misconceived notion or understanding that THC is bad for pets. And although there may be some truth to that because animals are a bit more sensitive, their bodies,
right,
which is why the oil responds so much quicker in their bodies than people. Even though for people it's quick, especially with the quality, but for animals it's even faster. But that's not true. That's not true at all. So the THC is necessary for any ECS and mammals in general and animals. So it works amazing. But yeah, I'll send you some. Don't worry about ordering some outside. I'll send you some I'll send you a pet bottle, 500 milligram of our
oh,
pet bottle. It's
thanks,
the same exact
man.
version as the human. Yeah, don't
All
worry
right,
about it,
cool.
dude. And you can try it out for yourself and see the results,
Yeah.
because again, ours is a different caliber of quality, so the results are profound, and that's what you want. You want people to see results fast with their animals, with themselves, and experience the best results they can possibly get. And the only way to do that is, as you talked about earlier with your family being Asian, when you're dealing with herbal medicine or holistic medicine, it's the quality of those herbs that dictate the results. If it's really
Exactly.
low quality, you're going to see a drop in results. So it's the same thing with cannabis.
Well, dude, I mean, yeah, like we would have to literally go to San Francisco, every other Sunday. My dad owned a nail shop, and so we'd have to go to like Stockton, San Francisco, and all that. And there were certain places where he had to go, and it's like, think of like this old witch Asian shop where they have like walls
Yeah,
of like herbs and like bat ear and all that
yeah.
shit. And it was the exact same thing. So he would just order all this stuff, and the lady would just like pummel it, And then, it's a
Mm-hmm.
tea. But like, I'm like, Dad, like, I saw another shop down there. He's like, no, this shop has the right stuff. That stuff is, and I'm in my mind, I'm like, dude, that's a witch's ear. It's a dog's ear. I don't know if it was really what it was, but that's what they kept calling it,
Yeah.
especially in Vietnamese. And, but yeah, there's something to it. And, it's weird for a lot of people to push off all the ancient, you know, things that people have learned, especially like, yeah, the Mayans and Native Americans and how they heal with each other, how they have little smoke rooms and all that stuff. And,
Mm-hmm.
for somebody to think CBD isn't a natural healer of sorts is kind of funny to me. Because I know that most of
Yeah.
pharmaceutical stuff starts from an accidental plant or herb being used in an accidental
Yeah.
way. And then they just
Yeah.
completely chemicalized it and commercialized it so they can make a bunch anytime they want.
100%.
It's interesting.
Yeah. And they take those particular those particular similar molecules that they're using from plant sources that elicit a particular effect within the body, and then they replicate those in a lab setting, and then they make
Right.
their pharmaceuticals. Everything that has ever been created on this planet has come from the natural resources of this planet. So,
Right.
and if people have been using it for thousands of years, teas and all sorts of stuff. I mean, I use all that stuff regularly all the time. I mean, anytime there's anything going on, it's like, okay, tea, honey, ginger, echinacea,
Right.
vitamin C. I mean, these are just standard things that everyone should be using. That's not even getting into some complicated stuff like what you're talking about, where you go to like a specialist
Yeah.
that basically grinds up and makes herbs based upon the situation that you have, which is kind of like Ayurvedic medicine. So, that's absurd to me as well, and really, to be honest with you, the lack of education. And I think that it's foolish, to be honest. I think it's ignorance at its finest, because within this country, there's a huge manipulation that has been going on for a very, very long time. And, our food and nutrients has been a part of that manipulation, and the propaganda behind that as well. I mean, making cannabis illegal is absolutely absurd.
Right.
It's a plant. That'd be like making a freaking pine cone on a pine tree illegal because it has some sort of, medicinal benefit that
Right,
people can
yeah.
use freely versus depending upon the system. So,
Well, I mean, yeah,
but it's coming around.
right. We can talk about that all day long on, how like, marijuana was illegal, but smoking cigarettes and alcohol was totally legal, even though those are killing people every day. But honestly, it's all pharmaceutical money, man. I mean, that's, I think, where it's at. That's, the pharmaceutical money puts a lot of money out there to keep certain things out, to keep certain things in. And that's what happened. And, I think if they start jumping that CBD train, which I know that some of the large ones will be, or if not already are, then that's when all of a sudden we'll start seeing more of the fake stuff come out, which is going to be sad, but hopefully people still sit in that mindset, especially with these last 3 months of COVID and everybody supporting small business and all that stuff. They start to understand that there's a reason why we do what we do, and we're not part of the big crew that does everything else.
Yeah, and those products have come mainstream already, and they're the same products, man. They're CBD isolate that generally they're getting the isolate from China. A lot of it comes from China. Just CBD isolated is in like a powder crystalline form. It's very dense.
Right.
So think of it as like powdered sugar, but very refined and very small.
That just goes in like
but if you
everything.
Yeah, and it's only oil soluble, but if you were to put it in water and try and make it disperse, it won't. It has to be broken down, either with something that has a very high acidity or within suspended within a lipid. So that's not an oil. Now, the full spectrum oil is actually an oil. They press it out of the flower or separate it using ethanol and some other things that we don't use.
Right.
We just do a CO2 extraction. And so that's actually oil from the flower, from the plant. But when you isolate that one molecule, it then becomes like a very hard crystallate powder form. So it's easy to ship. It has no THC in it. And like CVS and some other companies have got on board with topicals. But what people need to understand about CBD oil is there's probably 93 to 94% of the global CBD out there is just CBD isolate. And most of it is not very good purity. Not good quality, and the source that it originates from is not good either. So we're far. It's kind of like if you look at Whole Foods and Sprouts and natural grocers, places like that. They're very few and far in between all of the big corporate, garbage food sources that we have access to, the Walmarts and all these other places, right? So, so when you're looking for CBD oil, you have to look at it objectively just the same as you would if you define healthier and more natural foods, because those are more scarce than the mainstream stuff. So those big companies like CVS and they're just carrying garbage products. I know the brands, I've verified their labs, and a lot of them are lying about what's in their product, and I see it.
Right, but
plain as day. I mean,
nobody checks that, right? Like I know I've never checked that. It's just like I read what's on the bottle, and that's frustrating for you, because you guys are putting all this effort and time into making a quality product that actually works, that people aren't wasting their money on, and you're doing it legitimately. And any industry is going to be the same thing, but yeah, it's that education needs to come out. I know that kind of going through your Facebook page, you guys spend a lot of time on the education side of it, just let people kind of to know what you're doing. And I love that, because my whole world is education, community over competition, making sure that people understand why they're spending their money a certain way, or why I charge a certain way for photography and all that stuff. So yeah, if they go to your page and they go, all right, this is a certain price, but I know that this dude over here sells it at 7-Eleven for $2.99 for 2 ounces. There's a reason that happens. And I hope that people take a second to go, that's not as legit as it sounds.
Yeah, and like you were saying, I mean, you can justify and prove. I don't really like to use the word justify, because that almost sounds like you're trying to, justify charging more money for something that may not be justifiable. But that's just your way of going about it. But you can always prove to people that the quality of your service, for instance, in your photography, or the quality of our oil is better. And I mean, you can prove that very easily to someone. We can also prove that to others as well. And for us, we didn't get in the industry to make a shit ton of money. That's just not why we did it. I mean, I got into this, and all the people that are a part of our crew and our team are in it to help people heal. It's a cannabis healing movement for us. And so we don't just participate on the CBD side of things. I've been to a ton of grow facilities. I know I've been into every single dispensary in the state of Nevada. There's over 70. I work with Nevada NORML, which is the national organization for the reform of marijuana law. They've been around for, I think since the 70s, trying to get cannabis legalized federally. So we work with them. We do a lot of outreach and education in the community in regards to a lot of things. But yeah, we've never got into it for the money. So I knew when I got into this industry, when we started doing business with a lot of the dispensaries, what that was about largely, and had no surprises that products and people come and go out of most of those places, because it's largely about investors and not about quality, and the consumers just don't know the difference between quality. So they walk in and say, hey, what has the highest THC percentage, because they're looking to get high. That's it. They're not asking about terpenes. They're not asking about like any type of extraction process with certain things. They're not asking about how it was grown, where it was grown, what type of thing. So people are, that's what dictates our market. If people were health conscious and aware and actually knew how to use the things that you and I use that work phenomenally, everyone's looking for the quick fix. They don't care. They want a pharmaceutical, or they want something. Yeah, exactly. So if our industry and people's mindset in general was different, it would reflect that within every single industry that consumers are purchasing products. We wouldn't be supporting China and all of the garbage products that come out of there, and the child labor and all the different bad shit that happens. We would be supporting something bigger. So it's always something bigger, and it just depends on people individually, what they're concerned with, and do they really care about other people's well-being than their own in general. I mean, most people don't even care about their own well-being, bro. This is the only body they have, and they treat it like garbage.
Oh my God, dude. It's insane, because I went vegan 4 months ago. I've lost a bunch of weight. I've gained a bunch of muscle in the last 4 months, and I spent my whole 36 years of life being upset at myself. You look good. Thanks, man. Just working out a little. And I've spent my whole life, being an overweight kid, not knowing why, having kids, and then just looking at old photos and just always being upset, right? I would work out and nothing happened, stop working out for a while. And I feel like I'm in a good spot. So I kind of want to tell everybody about what I'm doing without sounding like a douche. But I was in Minden going to a shoot out in Gardnerville, and I went to stop at the Maverick and went in and just grabbed a water and used the bathroom. And I come out, and as I was walking in, there's a guy smoking a cigarette. Cool, whatever. And then I get back to my car. He was shopping behind me. He comes out with 2 Monsters, a hot dog, and a Snickers. And that was like going to be his lunch. And I'm sitting there in my mind. I'm like, I remember used to be doing that. I used to do that and think that was normal. And I'm looking at him and like, when he does this, he's going to die. Like, this is insane. And he was younger than me. He probably looked like 25, 26. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, dude, you have so much longer to go, but you're not going to go that far if you keep doing this. And that's exactly what it is. One body.
Yeah, yeah. And it increases the risks of bad stuff happening. It's kind of funny. I always have conversations with some of my friends and I'm like, I've know people and have had relatives that smoke and drink every day of their life and they live to be like 93. And I'm like, kind of makes you question, like, what's your soul's purpose here and some of those deeper questions in life, because the odds are stacked against them to get, like to have a heart attack and have, hypertension and all these different ailments that are just going to increase the chance of them not living as long. But yeah, it is very interesting, and I mean, I think, I think people they're not introspectively thinking about their lives and loving themselves. People need to realize this is the only thing that we truly own while we're here is our physical bodies. And we don't even own that. We temporarily are renting that essentially. So when we leave here, whether people believe in reincarnation or the soul or
we don't
creator
know.
or God or anything of that sort, we have to kind of be smart and say, well, shit, do I want to maximize my time here? But whether people love their lives or hate their lives or whatever, it's a direct reflection of how they feed their bodies, how they treat their bodies, how they treat other people. And, it ultimately boils down to choice. But yeah, when it comes to nutrition, man, there's just absolutely no reason to be putting something damaging into your body. That's why I think smoking cigarettes is ridiculous and abusing alcohol is ridiculous, because it's like, why don't you just punch yourself in the face? Like 2-3 times when you wake up, because
the smoking thing has always been weird to me. I will say that I did smoke for like 3 years in my 20s, the drinking, smoking, being out, doing the thing down Rumbulians and all that junk. But like,
yeah, we all did it.
I don't hang out with people that smoke anymore. And that was the other thing too. I hung out with people that smoked. So we all smoked together. I don't hang out with people that smoke anymore. So I actually rarely see people smoke. I'm never with the crew that's like, yeah, we're having a drink at dinner and they have to go outside to smoke. That doesn't happen in my world anymore. So I've kind of forgot that people smoked for a while until I see somebody smoking. And then when I look at them and I'm like, that's actually a weird thing that you're doing. I mean, you're lighting this thing on fire, you're inhaling, you're puffing out, and it's not really doing anything for you, but it's something that you need to do. And it's crazy to think about now. And that's how it used to be. But hopefully people are slowly going away from that one day.
Yeah, they are. It's funny because like since you and I grew up, I think smoking was more prevalent, and I think it's definitely dropped off over the years. I mean, I'd have to look at like, statistical numbers of, cigarette sales and stuff, but I would argue just from what I'm seeing that it has slowed down. And then people now can vape. And, it's interesting because we sell our product at a particular vape shop, and I was asking the guy about VG and PG, being essentially, some of the main product ingredients that are in those vape cartridges, and if there was any adverse reactions to the lungs. And he, turned me onto a study that was a 3-year, it was like a placebo, double-blind study or whatever, to where, particular individuals were actually just vaping, nothing, and some were vaping nicotine and so on and so forth. And they did this study, and it was pretty extensive, and actually showed, and it's hard to know the biasm of, who's funding these studies and stuff. All of our information is controlled and owned by somebody. So, but it came out and it actually was showing that that there was no noticeable effects. The lungs are able to absorb and assimilate certain things easier than others. I mean, just breathing as we're walking around, we're getting particulates in our lungs. So it is interesting to see what affects that or not. I actually asked a buddy, ironically, the original friend of mine that gave me CBD oil from the get-go, the other personal trainer buddy, he now is a respiratory therapist he's in New York helping out with the COVID situation, but he was working for Renown. And I asked him, I said, dude, you're on the front line. And I worked in DME and oxygen for a stint, like 7-8 months with a friend's company. So I did sales in DME and oxygen. And so I kind of, learned more about, the lungs as far as the medical aspects of the lungs. And so I asked him, I said, do you ever get any of those just old guys or older women that, smoked cannabis their whole entire life? They haven't smoked cigarettes, but they're just, a regular cannabis user. Have you actually screened their lungs? Because if you go in for an upper respiratory infection, whatever, they're going to do an x-ray on your lungs and check things out. And he said that he has tons of times. And I said, what do their lungs look like? Because, smoking cigarettes, as you know, obviously causes the lungs to just be absolutely filled with tar and tear. I mean, just destroys the lungs. Right. I asked him about cannabis, and he said he, had screened a lot of these people's lungs, and he said that their lungs look fine and healthy as if they didn't smoke a day in their life. And he said that that's a regular occurrence if they're not abusing it, but just using it regularly. And so it's interesting because there's so much mainstream information about, cigarettes are bad, alcohol is bad, smoking cannabis is bad, but using it other ways are not. But I tend to like to get my information from the horse's mouth when it comes to that.
Right.
And I was actually really surprised. To the contrary, I believed that maybe it did affect your lungs negatively,
right?
But it also depends. Yeah.
I mean, I like that. We went to Vegas in February before the COVID started, and I took my daughter to see the exhibit, The Bodies, where they like cut up the body and people donate their bodies to science for everything. And they had a whole like smoking section. So they had like where the lungs were out, and this is like a set of healthy lungs, and this is a set of lungs where somebody smoked their entire life. I'd like them to add something like that with like, somebody that smoked just, cannabis all the time and what it would look like. And I'm sure, I don't know if that research is available yet because, people haven't admitted it or whatever at this point because it wasn't legal. So I definitely would like to see that. But yeah, I mean, the act of smoking might be more injury prone. But I don't know how it works. I mean, I'm a vapor with cannabis. Like I have a bunch of little pens around. And then CBD, I have, take a tincture oil. So I do it as a health aspect. So I only vape when I need to get some sleep and I, need it now. So, and it helps me definitely just lay down and, iPhone and then just start to go to sleep. But, Brandon, dude, I went into this just going to ask you about, your company, and I wanted to pimp it out and promote it, but your freaking knowledge base of everything we talked about is insane. So like, yeah, you're going to be my go-to, even though, I shoot for these companies. They sometimes answer my questions, but they don't answer it like correctly, or a way that like I get an answer. So dude, I appreciate it. We are going to pop off of Facebook now, and then I'll spend a couple minutes with you off the side. But guys, I have Brandon tagged on here, Harmonious CBD tagged on his company as well. He did state that he is more than happy to answer any questions you guys have. So you have his personal Facebook as well, and I'm sure that his business Facebook will link to him as well. So thank you so much for coming on. Say bye to the peeps.
Yeah, thanks everyone for watching. And if you guys have any questions or anything, my personal cell phone that I've had since I was 14 is on my Facebook. It's on our website. It's everywhere. So you guys can reach out to me. And I'll help you, understand more, answer any questions about products you're taking, or products you're considering taking without any bias. I'm not going to try and sell you. We're just here to help educate everyone and get them on, good products and get them on that healing track. So thanks for joining us, and thanks for having me, brother.
All right, guys, check out Raw Focus. Bye. Awesome, man. How did it go?
Great, bro. Yeah, absolutely, man.
That was awesome. No, seriously, it's I do have to say, like, growing up with people in Sparks and Reno, not a lot of people are doing shit here. And all my, old friends, I think I have like a handful of friends, Corey Eastwood, that I only talk to, he's doing big things, but otherwise everybody else is just kind of floating along. And so it's good to see that you're actually, you're doing something, you're building something. And I like that you're an entrepreneur on top of it, but riding this the CBD train and educating people is kind of amazing. Where do you see everything kind of going from here? How's everything with the business?
Oh yeah, the business is good. I mean, the thing is we were doing business with a lot of cannabis dispensaries, and the problem with those places is that the turnover is fucking insane, bro. And the issue is that they, to be quite honest and truthful, because I always am, they don't give a shit about quality. They give a shit about their margins on the management level and up. Below that, all the bud tenders are very passionate and want to help people heal, but a lot of them are not that knowledgeable. They just know what they know, and a lot of times they'll give improper recommendations, which kind of fucks everything up for those consumers. But the industry is very young, it has a lot of growing, but unfortunately, I think it got off on the wrong foot, and I think that it's continued on that, and it's a self-imploding, strategy that they're all participating in, because once cannabis becomes federally legalized, and it will at some point in time in our lifetimes in the future, it's going to open up a whole different market of black market, cannabis, which is where I buy my cannabis, or I'll get it at Soul down in Washoe Valley because of the way that they
Oh,
grow it. And I'm just very particular about my cannabis. Dude, I've seen so many terrible, lab test results with mold and mildew and flower that they've sold still to dispensaries, and dispensaries have sold to consumers, and
right.
corruption within the state, giving out licenses, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that, but for our business, we are in every state at this point in time, not retail, but selling directly to customers. And we're in, we've gone global now. So we have some people in Canada and the UK. I mean, I get hit up by everyone, but the shipping is expensive for them. So we get
Right.
bottles out there in other countries. And ours is just, it's a spiritual thing, dude. It's a spiritual thing. It's about helping people. It's about doing the right thing. And so we're
Exactly.
never going to deviate from that. And I've had the opportunity to do that. I've had people offer to buy the company. I've had companies say, hey, if you, whatever it is, if you drop your prices, well, if we drop our prices, we have to drop the quality. And I'm not going to do that. I don't care
Right.
if we stay a small business. I will never compromise on that integrity and ethics and quality of this cannabis healing movement,
Good.
because someone has to hold up that side of the direction, and there are quite a few, but there's more holding up the money side and they don't give a
Yeah.
fuck side. And so we'll see where that goes, but we know where we're going to be going, dude. And we always establish good business relationships like yourself. You can choose who you get to do business with.
Right.
So you can choose to do business with good people and not with
Yeah.
others. Mint and Kind are, they're a decent dispensary, but the reason why we don't do business with them is because they were carrying our product because they all knew it was very high quality. And then they got a new buyer, and the buyer came in and
Right.
said, we only want the cheapest stuff. And so
Well,
our
the
product got pushed
company
aside
is
because of that.
completely different now from when I started with them. When I started with
Yeah.
them as mom and pop, and they got bought out.
Yeah.
I think by a company in Canada who bought out like a bunch of different dispensaries. So like I go in and shoot a couple of them now just to get shots of it for Mint and Kind. But it's definitely, you can kind of see it in everybody's faces and eye. There's so many people that work there. There's so many things that are happening, but it's not the same. And that's ultimately, they're not happy. Some people that started the whole place got fired as soon as the new companies came in, because they're like, no, we don't need it. And then the branding changed, and everything that we shot and worked for to create their company was pushed off to the side with stock photography. And yeah, so it's definitely a change. And they pay me, which is nice, but it's one of those things where like, I'm not stuck to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just a photographer. I just take pictures. So that's ultimately where I stand.
Yeah, you're an independent contractor, so you can break ties with them and vice versa, however you want to, which is dope, dude. That's awesome though, bro. I mean, I'm glad to see that over all these years that your photography thing is going strong, and
I appreciate it, man.
and you're doing well with that, bro. And your family and kids and stuff, that's really positive. That's awesome, bro.
I know.
I mean, that's
We
good. Yeah.
started early, but no more kids now. So my youngest is 2, and I did the snip like a month ago. So
Yeah.
no more kids.
How was that?
It was super
Was
easy.
that pretty easy process?
Oh my God. But so I've never had a single surgery my entire life, nothing, no teeth, no anything. And so this was my only surgery I've ever had. I did it at Carson Urology, went in on a Wednesday, and my original date was like during COVID, and then they had to reschedule me. So my mindset changed. But went in on a Wednesday, they scheduled me for the next Wednesday, June 13th, I went in, and they gave me some Xanax before. And I talked to him, he gave me a couple shots. I really didn't feel anything, and then just kind of went to sleep in the car on the way home. And that was it, but it was sore for like 3 or 4 days. You just wear a jock strap, and it feels like when you don't wear it, it feels like somebody's just pulling down because of the weight.
Gotcha.
But
gotcha.
yeah, but dude, I mean, super easy. If all surgeries are like that, then I'm kosher. I'm happy.
Nice. That's dope. Yeah, I've considered it too, just so that my girl doesn't have to use birth control because of what that does to her body.
And I mean, it's reversible. So, if you do it, but let me know if you get into that, let me know. I'll send you a referral to Dr. Chen. But at least, go in and talk to them. But oh my God, dude, so simple. It's reversible. And especially, if she's taking junk, talking about the whole holistic thing, if she's taking a bunch of birth control and junk and all that stuff, it's just not good for her body. It's deregulating, and it's, less percentage than a vasectomy is. And that's just where it's at. But yeah, if you guys aren't having kids, it's a smart way to go. And then you don't have to worry about shit ever again.
Yeah, that's what's your prices on shooting for the surprise
Oh, I'll shoot you
proposal?
an email with my pricing, but basically I just have a session fee and then you buy what you want at the end. So my session fee is
Nice.
$95 for, let's say, an hour. And
Mm-hmm.
then there you get an online gallery that's password protected. You don't have to buy everything. The gallery is always accessible to you, so you can just look at photos and grab what you want. But digital start at 30, and then prints start at like $9 for 4x6. Most likely you'll buy a couple digitals that you can post and push anywhere you want, or you can always just send the gallery
Mm-hmm.
out to friends and family and they can just look at the photos. But yeah, final
Nice.
total all
Cool.
depends on how much you guys actually buy. Um,
So,
yeah, yeah. Just I try to keep
do
it simple
you
with everybody.
are you in a position where you're down to do product trade out, or would you rather
Always,
prefer
dude. Yeah,
to make the
always.
money
I
on that?
mean, I
Okay.
yeah, I do very well with photography. So I actually do a lot of trades with like gyms and dentists and all that stuff. So yeah, if you're game for that,
Nice. Nice.
I just do dollar for dollar. So once I'm done, then I just shoot you out
Cool.
an invoice. And then yeah, if you want to send over product within that invoice, then we just cross it off. But yeah,
Oh,
I'm totally game for that. And then it's also good for me to cross promote since I have a kind of a big network. I promote any and everything
yeah.
anyways. I mean, I'll promote it regardless, but people are always like, what are you using? What are you doing? So, a lot of the stuff that I use and do, especially all in here, YouTube videos are out everywhere and all that stuff. So it'll be easier to promote that way.
Nice, bro.
But yeah, let me
Where
know
are you
when you're
working
thinking
out?
about it. Was that?
Hmm. Oh, I was gonna say,
Uh,
where are you working out at these days?
just at Anytime Fitness right now.
Okay.
Over here off
Nice.
of next to Safeway, or a little bit further down. I have a double-edged CrossFit membership that I trade out, but I never use. So it's just a credit that's holding me over. During COVID, I just worked out at home. Had some
Hmm.
Bowflex dumbbells and then like a Gorilla bar. But I like going to the gym. And then we have a Peloton here, so I do a Peloton 3 or 4 days a week on the bike, just a
Nice.
spinny bike,
Nice.
and that's awesome.
Dope, bro.
Yeah.
Dope. You
What are you
feeling
doing?
better? Your body feeling good?
Yeah, everything's easy peasy, a lot better. Sleeping better. Yeah, clothes are fitting easier, so it's good. I feel like I'm finally progressing after all these years of, even though I did kines and I learned about the body and educated myself on as much stuff. It was frustrating because I never got to where I wanted to. Ultimately, it's meat. Since I became vegan, everything
Hmm.
changed. So it's crazy. So no more
Yeah.
meat, no fish, no chicken, no dairy products, no eggs, no butter, nothing like that. Modify everything.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's
The
been
vegan
nice.
thing, I went vegetarian for many years, and because I was doing like really a lot of meditation. I was doing meditation for like 10 plus years. I still to this day, not as rigorously, but yeah, I went to vegan around as well. We haven't had dairy products for years, and it's I
Right.
can't even remember. Like it's been 10 plus years, but going vegan and going between like pescatarian or whatever these coin
Right.
terms are, just eating different types of meat. It definitely is different. It's very interesting, but yeah, we never have. I've always had, coconut milk, almond milk, hemp
Right. And that's the easiest to do. Yeah. You don't have
milk,
to have
oat
regular
milk.
cheese. Yeah. I mean, they make, the
Yeah,
earth balanced butter is completely vegan. And it tastes exactly like butter. Yeah.
yeah,
We don't drink
exactly.
regular milk anymore. Nobody's, everybody here is, I think, a little bit of lactose. I mean, I think everybody in the earth is lactose. Um, but
Yeah,
yeah, like our kids
yeah.
were lactose growing up, and like, the babies would like throw up if they had regular like whole milk. So we had to go soy. So we just bought
Hmm.
soy for everybody. And that's, yeah, I mean, it was, I was scared at first, but I mean, full vegan, I just kind of went all the way. Every once in a while, like I'll have like some tuna if we go to sushi, but I'll just do vegetarian
Hmm.
rolls, or I'll have like a roll with just tuna and sriracha. And because I do it for the health aspect, not for like religious reasons. So it's not like, I can't eat a piece of
Yeah,
steak if I don't want to. So when Thanksgiving comes around, I'll probably eat turkey. But I just don't know how much I'll be able to eat or if I'll even want to. I'm at the point now
yeah.
where I
You'll
just
see.
crave vegetables.
Yeah, I know the vegetable situation. Everyone should have, salad, like dark green leafy salad with a bunch of
Right.
different vegetables in there. I mean, that should be the biggest portion, if you will, in your
Right.
meal. And that's really what our bodies crave. But yeah, I mean, I eat meat currently. I just eat turkey and fish,
Yeah.
chicken. I don't eat red meat at all. I haven't for a very long time. I mean, I'll do it with my girlfriend's family sometimes because they're
Right.
it's a big Mexican family, and just to not be rude, but Yeah,
Right.
the
Well, no,
red meat thing I
yeah.
think
I
is
mean, I
the
love me
worst.
some, carne asada tacos, like stuff like that. I miss, just I miss cooking.
Yeah.
Like, we have a Traeger, and I miss like roasting meat all day and then having that. But I mean, I had steak. I want to say a few weeks ago, we were at a steakhouse for our anniversary, and they didn't have any. It was all, nothing vegan at all. It's like just steak. So I just had like a portion of steak, and it was good. It was delicious, but like I could only eat part of it. And normally
Hmm.
I was that guy that, would get like the tomahawk steak and I could just pound, you know, 36 ounces of meat,
Yeah.
no problem. But now it's just kind of like, I don't,
Yeah.
it didn't really do. And then the next morning I felt like groggy. I felt tired. I felt full. I felt heavy.
Yeah.
That
The
drawback is what
body
I
just
don't
doesn't
like.
process it well.
Right.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
might be my
Yeah.
body. I mean, that was my biggest change, I mean, I'm working out the same as I was, but the veganism really kind of changed it. What do you got going on the rest of
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm just gonna bust out my workout, and then I work out with my girlfriend's little brother who's here from North Carolina, so he's trying to
the?
gain
Oh,
weight and
cool.
muscle. So I have a martial arts room at our house, and
Nice.
through COVID, I've been working out there, just working on a lot of things, different things that I do for my particular martial arts, and then some resistance training in there as well. I'm just training myself completely differently, but
Cool.
for what I'm looking for today, what goals I'm looking for today. So yeah, and then I golf, so I'm gonna go golfing on Friday, and then just business stuff, as is all the time, bro. I mean, managing
Always
your
working,
QuickBooks
man.
and everything.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, but that's
I
cool.
know.
I'm proud of you, dude. That's good that you're doing what you're doing because you get to dictate your life instead of working for someone else, which is very hard to do, as I'm sure you've
Yeah,
experienced.
same as you,
So
man. I mean, yeah, it's
yeah,
what, it's what we do. We fail on our own or we make it on our own. And, I mean, it was kind of
yeah,
nice with the COVID where we got to control what we wanted. Um, but yeah, life's been good to me. But I hustle and I work a lot. A lot of people assume that I just go and take pictures and make a ton of money, but it's really all this stuff in front of this computer here where I spend most of my day,
yeah,
where I get to build an office in
yeah.
my garage and freaking just live here. So that's my world right now.
That's awesome, bro. That's good for you, brother. That's good. Well,
Well, keep me
I'll let you
posted
get back
on,
to it. I
yeah.
know you got a busy day.
Yeah, keep me posted on anything changes, anything like that. If you ever want to come back on to talk about anything, just let me know. We'll just schedule it to come back on, whether it's a new product or new information or whatever to keep it going. But
Sure.
yeah, keep me posted on everything, and then we'll just chat later.
Yeah, sounds good, brother. Yeah, shoot me an email or whatever about
Yeah,
that, and I definitely want to get you set up for the 29th, and yeah, and it'll be like kind of an evening thing. We're gonna have dinner at 5
cool.
La Familia, and then after that, it doesn't need to be more than an hour shoot. Just
Yeah,
something,
we'll do.
just to get some good pictures.
Yeah, we'll do the proposal, and then I'll stage you guys out, especially if parents are there. We'll do some cool stuff. So, I always tell people to bring some champagne, bring some other things too. That way, you guys have a little toast. But yeah,
Nice.
it's fun, it's simple, and it'll be cute. She'll be stoked.
Oh yeah, awesome.
Awesome,
Well, cool,
man.
my
All
man.
right,
Thanks for having me on, dude.
thank you,
Have a
buddy.
good
I'll
rest of
chat
your
with you
day.
later.